Hello everyone, Ryan here. So it's time for another Music Monday. This week, I decided to talk about Slayer. That's right, Slayer. Can't believe I didn't feature them before in a Music Monday, but I did an album review of one of their more recent albums. I believe the one titled Repentless. Yeah. It's been a while since I've done any album review. I gotta get on that. Because I mean, there's some pretty cool like local bands that I want to do reviews for. So as well as like other more well-known bands, but anyways, Slayer got started sometime in 1981, I believe, 80 or 81. In California, Huntington Park, California, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, by the bassist vocalist Tom Araya, and right away they had this unique sound. I mean, obviously, very thrash metal sound. Slayer is one of those bands that are referred to as the Big Four, because usually, when it comes to the metal community, the metal music world scene, I don't know, whatever people are calling it nowadays. Usually when they refer to the Big Four, they usually mean the bands. There's Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, and Megadeth, I believe. Yeah. I mean, as far as like thrash metal goes, like really really fast-paced stuff. And granted, Metallica in the earlier days, they were much more thrash than they are now. But still, when people say the Big Four, those are usually the bands that they are talking about. So, in case you didn't know that. But Slayer, of course, they're one of those bands that I didn't get into them right away, and I don't even know why. I guess because, during, like, my high school years, I just listened to nothing but a lot of Metallica and also other bands, Iron Maiden and other bands too, like more new metal stuff like Korn, Mudvayne, Slipknot, and but yeah, I didn't really start listening to Slayer until pretty much like my senior year in high school. I remember in my senior year in high school, we took this like senior trip, because it was like our last summer as high school people. And it was a pretty cool trip. I mean, we went to San Antonio. Well, first we went to San Marcos, which is this like small city located, I think, like a couple 100 miles west from San Antonio. I don't know, west or east. We went there, and then because there was like this huge outlet mall over there, and then after that, we went to San Antonio. Of course, did all the touristy stuff. Saw the Alamo and walked on the Riverwalk, and that's pretty cool. San Antonio's pretty cool. We also went to Austin after that and visited the Capitol building. And and by the way, like I remember. That was like my first time seeing the Alamo in person. And I remember it looked really small. Like, because like when they show it in the movies, they make it look a lot bigger than it actually is. But yeah, to me, it just looks small. And not to be disrespectful or anything, I remember like me and my friend Luis, we saw it and we were both surprised and we're like, well, this is it. Like, no wonder they lost her. But yeah, anyways, getting back to Slayer. I didn't mean to ramble there, but because I mean, it's how, when I first started listening to Slayer during the senior trip, I went into this music store back when, people still went to stores to buy albums. This was like, I think, 2002, I want to say. Yeah, like mid 2002, because I graduated during the summer of 2002, so it was like June or July when I graduated. So yeah, I purchased South of Heaven by Slayer, and just completely on a whim. It was kind of like on sale, and popped it into my Sony Discman. I put on my headphones, and then, because then, we had to ride this bus. It was like a charter bus, and it was pretty comfortable, like bus. I mean, the seating was pretty comfortable, but like on the way back afterwards, when we started heading back home, I made sure that I had at least like 3 or 4 brand new CDs that I could listen to. And so, yeah, Slayer, South of Heaven, that was one of the ones that I listened to on the ride back home, and I really liked it. I mean, because it was the first Slayer album that I listened to all the way through. Before that, I had heard some of their songs, like Rain and Blood, which Rain and Blood is also an awesome song. If you haven't heard it, I'd suggest you give it a listen. So, whether you're into metal or not, that's what I think. But yeah, South of Heaven, that's an awesome album. I should really do a full review of that one. But yeah, I've always liked Slayer's guitar work. The 2 guitarists, Kerry King, Jeff Hanneman. Jeff Hanneman unfortunately passed away. I want to say it was 5 years ago, maybe 6, around that time frame, 5 or 6 years ago. But I think Slayer was one of the first bands that I listened to, with 2 guitar players that, in which they both kind of traded off when it came to guitar solo stuff. They both did these like awesome shredding kind of guitar solos, very metal, obviously. And I always liked that. I always liked that, their solos. It was pretty much guaranteed that a Slayer guitar solo was going to sound insane and crazy and wild and just balls out, and yeah, it was like, for me it was kind of like mind opening, or not completely, but just because before that, I always figured that a guitar solo had to be structured a certain way, that it had to follow a certain time signature, but no, as soon as I listened to South of Heaven all the way through, and then listened to some of Slayer's other albums, that was when I realized, I was like, oh, okay, so a guitar solo doesn't have to follow a certain structure. So yeah, I like that. I appreciated figuring that out, and even though I kind of felt like I figured it out much later than some of my friends who were already big Slayer fans, and yeah. But I mean, like, as far as like those same friends, it was like they purposely avoided introducing me to Slayer because they felt like I wasn't worthy enough or whatever. But these are like, really, they're like, now of course they're former friends, but there's this whole thing where, it was like, this group of other guys that I used to hang out with during high school, and well, yeah, they introduced me to a lot of really awesome metal music. At the same time, eventually, like, one day they just decided that I wasn't metal enough for them or cool enough, and but yeah, I really didn't care at that point. I was more concerned with just listening to music, playing music, learning everything I could as far as when it came to the guitar and all that. And actually, Slayer, they performed here where I live in El Paso, Texas, I want to say a couple years ago. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to go. Couldn't afford tickets. But I heard it was a pretty good show. Some of my friends went. And also, too, recently, Slayer, they performed on The Tonight Show. I think it was last year or a year and a half ago. Which that was pretty cool because it was the first time, you know, even though Slayer, yeah, they've been around 30 plus years. It was the first time that they performed on The Tonight Show. That was pretty cool. You know, if I can find a link to that performance, I'll provide that link. You can check that out. Yeah, but yeah, you know, overall, Slayer is an awesome band. I think a while ago they announced that they were going to have like one last tour or something like that because they're going to be retiring, and I don't know. I mean, I guess it makes sense considering the kind of music they play. It's pretty intense. I mean, the singer Tom Araya, he eventually had to stop headbanging because supposedly he had severely injured his neck muscles or something like that. Yeah, because when Slayer back in the day when they would perform, they were always headbanging, like a lot. Like, I mean, I used to think that, you know, other bands headbanged a lot, but until I saw some of Slayer's like old live performances, and yeah, they really headbanged a lot. I mean, more so than a lot of other bands during that time, during the 80s, 90s, and but you know, as far as, you know, favorite songs go, I mean, yeah, I like Rain and Blood, the title song. I mean, Rain and Blood is from another album, but South of Heaven, I pretty much like almost every single song on that album of theirs, South of Heaven. Another thing I thought was interesting was one of their albums that's titled God Hates Us All, and that was actually released September 11th. Like, yeah, during the actual September 11th. And yeah, that was, I don't know, I've always found that to be pretty interesting. Weird and, you know, a very strange coincidence. And, you know, by me saying that, I'm not saying that I think Slayer had anything to do with 9/11. I'm just saying, like, just the fact that, yeah, they released that album. It was released on that same day, you know. And, but I mean, you know, I'm sure a lot of other albums were released the same day, but I think Slayer's was the only one that was titled God Hates Us All. I mean, as far as albums that were released on that particular day. So, I don't know, go figure. You know, maybe Slayer, you know, they somehow were able to see into the future. I don't know. Yeah, so that'll do it as far as, you know, this week's Music Monday is concerned. Let me know what some of your favorite Slayer songs are, if you have any, or if you don't. Yeah, or hey, let me know what some of your favorite pop songs are. If you're not a metal person, what are some of your favorite pop songs? I'm always open to listening to any kind of music, but I mean, you know, it does not necessarily mean that I'm going to, like, I mean, I don't automatically get into, like, any kind of, like, pop sounding stuff for it. But I mean, I can appreciate if it's well written. If it's well written, I'll appreciate it, you know. Otherwise, if it's just the same stuff and it's just so repetitive that makes me want to tear my brain out, or yeah, that kind of stuff I don't really like. So, but yeah, thanks for watching this. Thanks for listening. As always, next time, don't forget, keep it real, keep on rocking, and peace.